Hello out there. Welcome. Come one, come all to the Other People Show. Friday, April 26th. It's going to be a fun show tonight. Just wrapped up doing Real Talk. House on Haunted Hill. That's a tongue twister. We have some of those tonight. Yes, we do. I want to reach out to everyone out there that is lonely and feeling down tonight. We're going to try to get you out of that funk, but I'm there with you. And I do sympathize, and you're not alone. Which I know that doesn't help. I know that it doesn't help at all. But we're going to try to do something about that tonight. As always, please go to our social media pages, like and subscribe, please. I appreciate each and every one of you all. Go to the YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People Show. Just a little like, a little subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. And I don't bombard with promotions, only with things that'll titillate your mind, stimulate your senses. Now, I've got an itinerary that I'd used in the past, but I put some different, newer topics on it, so I guess it's kind of a new and old. But I'm going to skip right ahead to question number 4 on the itinerary. You can hear it right there. Typed it out and printed it out. Well, it was already typed. I just printed. Now, do you think you could murder someone? That's the first question. Let's ponder on that for a moment. Do you think that you could murder someone? And if you think you could, what do you think would be the most difficult part? What would be the most difficult part, do you think? Because I'm not really sure about that. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we had a death, we, meaning humanity as a collective. OJ Simpson had passed away. It's probably been a little over a week now. I could have brought it up last show. Chose not to. But the reason that I didn't is because I've been intertwined and with this thing called if I did it. So, and we discussed this briefly on the old show in DC back in when it was the Midnight Mutants radio show. So, OJ had a allegedly, do you even have to say allegedly now? You know, I think that he did commit those murders. I think all the evidence has pointed to that. That being said, back in the mid-2000s, maybe 2006, 2007, he was strapped for cash. A publisher had offered him a book deal saying, tell about this, but you've got to put a chapter if, and then you make it if I did it. But the if was in small letters. Now, the book was canceled, and this interview was canceled, and it's just recently come back to light. And I didn't realize it was released back in 2018. But in this interview, OJ is recounting some of the murder. But he's recalling it in more of what he calls a hypothetical, which is very odd. Because as we'll listen here in just a moment, that he's talking as if he did it. And he's just telling about that as well, which is very, very, very odd. So let's listen to a little bit of it.
Is called The Night in Question. And you write in the book, now picture this and keep in mind that this is
purely
hypothetical. Hypothetical.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994? And let's just walk through the night.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical. I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel.
So let's stop right there. So he's saying people are going to feel however they're going to feel. It's very difficult for me to sit here in this chair as I'm being interviewed and tell you this hypothetical situation if I killed Nicole and Ron, how would it go? So this is already a bizarre thing to begin with. Not only have you been accused and acquitted of murder, half the population, or probably even more than half at this point, believes that you are a murderer and that you've gotten away with it. So you've spent the first 40 some years of your life. You were a college star athlete, an NFL running back, superstar. You had some acting credits with the Naked Gun series and things like that. You were a spokesman, and you were a people person that liked the attention, that liked getting recognized in public, liked taking pictures with fans, and you had this great nice guy persona. You worked also, on the sidelines at the NFL. So you had all these things going for you. Then you commit these murders. You're acquitted. And you vow that you're going to spend the rest of your life hunting down the criminals who you think that's committed these murders. 10 years goes by or so. This was before, this was a couple of years before he was actually arrested and put in jail for, theft, robbery. So he's written the book, and in the book he's talking about he talks about his life. But this is the chapter that the whole reason that the entire thing was made was for the night in question, where he is going to talk about the hypothetical situation if he did in fact commit the murders. Here's hypothetically how it would go.
They're gonna whatever they want to feel. In the book, the hypothetical is
Charlie pulls that up.
Charlie. This guy Charlie shows up, the guy who I recently become friends with, and I don't know why he had been by Nicole's house, but it told me you wouldn't believe what's going on over there. And I remember thinking, well, whatever's going on over there has got to stop.
So right there, he's already saying, so Charlie is this fictitious character that he has created for the book. But there's a couple of times, if you'll notice, throughout this interview where he says, I don't remember this, I don't remember that. And it's just very bizarre. If it's a hypothetical, you would be speaking in hypothetical terms. If you were to even do this crazy idea to begin with. Well, hypothetically, this is what probably Charlie did. As Charlie did this, and you'll see how OJ you can tell as he's talking that he's trying to reach back and remember, and especially if you watch the YouTube video, OJ Simpson, the lost confession, the hypothetical.
Right. So we kind of hooked up together, and, I'm kind of broad stroking this. We go over, get in the Bronco and go over.
Let's just go back and do the details. Where did you park?
This is the detail.
You park
in the hypothetical in the alley.
Right. You park in the alley.
Yeah.
And you put on a wool cap and gloves.
In the hypothetical, I put on a cap and gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
So he keeps on saying in the hypothetical because I think he is realizing as he's sitting here talking about this out loud, this was a bad idea. I shouldn't have agreed to do this, because now I'm pretty much telling exactly how it happened, how I got away with it, basically, because he can't be charged again for the murder. So he continues.
And you reached under the seat for?
A knife. I always kept a knife in the car for the crazies and stuff, because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, "You ain't bringing that." And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah. In the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the back gate.
So OJ makes sure right there that he looks into the camera and he says, "Charlie took the knife in the book." But he doesn't say "in the book" or things like that throughout, as you hear, which makes me think he's entrapping himself even more so.
Gate, you go through the back gate.
Yes.
And it was open or broken or?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I go to the front and I'm looking to see what's going on. And I can see that it appears like Nicole had candles all the time. She really did, to keep her overhead down, I think. And music was on, and while I was there, a guy shows up. You know?
So Ron Goldman comes in the back gate.
Yeah, a guy I really didn't recognize. I may have seen him around, but I really didn't recognize him to be anyone. And in the mood I was in, I started having words with him.
He said.
So, once again, he's saying, I started having words with him. There was a guy that came there. I didn't really know who he was. He didn't seem to be of any importance. But this is an odd thing to really sit there and talk about. In actuality, as far as we know, this is what really happened.
Says to you, "I just came by to return a pair of glasses. Judy left them at the restaurant."
Yeah, words to that effect, yes.
And he was
I don't know if I believed it or didn't believe it. It was pretty much immaterial, because, I was more concerned about everything that was going on, and was fed up with it, I guess. And
you get into a fight. Nicole comes out.
A verbal
fight.
Got a little loud, and by that time, Nicole had come out. And we started having words about who is this guy, why is he here, what's going on.
And she says, "This is my house, get the F out of here."
Yes, and which I didn't like, because, once again, this is the same person. And if you read the book, you'll see some things that happened in the 2 weeks leading up to this.
So you don't really know when he's talking right there, when he says "in the book." But you've got someone that's been accused of murdering their ex-wife, and you're writing a book, hypothetically, if you did it when everybody thinks that you already did it. Maybe that was the brilliance of OJ, that he knew everybody thought that he did it, so he was just going to go ahead and put that out on there as display. Yeah, I did it. This is how hypothetically I did it. So he's confessing, getting that load off of his conscience and his chest. Although I don't think that would be, that goes back to the first question. Do you think you could murder someone? And what do you think the most difficult part would be? Living with it might be the most difficult part for some people. Now, OJ, it seems like it wasn't that difficult for him to live with it, because he was always on the golf course. He was always hanging out with friends, going to games. You go back and you look at his last, 20 posts on X, and they're all, watching the game, enjoying my life, at the golf course. Hospice, no, I'm not in hospice. So it's always this like joyful thing that he's doing. But back to the video here and the hypothetical. Just listen, this is a very odd thing as we get into what really happened. So I'll try to let this play through.
That were very, very irritating, and I think Charlie had followed this guy in, wanted to make sure it was no problem, and he brought the knife. As things got heated, I just remember Nicole fell and hurt herself. And this guy kind of got into a karate thing. And I said, well, you think you can kick my ass? And I remember I grabbed a knife. I do remember that portion, taking a knife from Charlie. And to be honest, after that, I don't remember, except I'm standing there and there's all kind of stuff around and
What kind of stuff?
blood and stuff around. I hate to say this, but this is hypothetical. I'm sorry.
Right.
I know we got to back up again.
Right. That's okay. I want to back up.
This is hard.
This is hard. I know. I want to back up.
He's saying it's hard as he's sitting there laughing about it. Now, OJ, I'm sure it's nervous laughter because he doesn't just do it here. This is just a 7-minute clip that we're getting through. But the interview, I think, is about an hour and a half. And there's multiple times throughout that interview where he is sitting there and he does this uncomfortable laughter. And I've done some OJ research, even some more videos that I had no idea that happened. There's very contentious interviews with him, more than just this one, more so than this one. And he does that nervous laughter during that as well.
To try to make people think that I'm nervous.
I know. You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes.
You're covered, the scene. Can you describe it?
It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood. And of course, I think we've all seen the grisly pictures after. So yeah, I think everything would have been covered in blood.
So that's when he's sitting there and he's saying he doesn't really remember what went down after he hypothetically killed them.
Through your mind at a time like that?
I don't know. It's like, what happened?
Right. You write about removing a glove before taking the knife from Charlie.
I had no conscious memory of doing that, but obviously I must have because they found the glove there.
And blacking out.
See, that's a weird statement to make. I don't remember doing it, but obviously I did because they found the glove there. Now, is he talking hypothetically? And he doesn't say that very much more, I don't think, the rest of the clip. But he paints himself into an even worse light than he was going into this. Especially if you go and you watch his mannerisms and, him actually, the video of this.
Have you ever blacked out before?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
No, of course, if something like this would take place in anybody's life, if it were to happen, I would imagine it's something that you would probably automatically have trouble wrapping your mind around it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Staggering first-hand details of.
So that's a little bit about the OJ. It's the lost confession. If I did it, and those are coming back around. So yeah, I would definitely, if you're interested in that case, you should definitely check that out. It's some, it shines some new lights on some things, and wow, I did find it ironic that he did get charged 13 years to the day that he was acquitted. He was charged with robbery. So OJ didn't get away with it after all, in a way. Now, he only served 9 years out of 33. But, you go and you watch this video of OJ. And this video was, probably 10, 12 years after the verdict. The original verdict. And he doesn't really look that much different. But if you go to the OJ to after this, he's aged significantly, and it's due to the fact that, I'm sure he was harassed in a lot of places that he went. And how could he not be? But that takes us back to the original question. Do you think that you can murder someone? And what do you think the most difficult part would be? You know, this is a question that has been asked before. And I do think that I could murder someone if I had to. Now, OJ went into a rage, homicidal rage, and he probably did black out in so regard. He probably got so upset that he didn't know what he did. He probably did not go over there with the intention of trying to kill anyone. And I believe that. But I do believe that he murdered Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson as well. But I don't think I could just murder or kill just anyone. It would have to be for a certain purpose. You know, maybe they've hurt my family or done something inappropriate, or you know, somehow trying to kill me. You know, I think I could do that, and I don't think that I would want to do it with a knife. Nicole's head was, you know, almost completely severed. I'm not sure about Ron Goldman, but I don't think I would want to have any kind of sharp knives or objects like that. I would just want to do it the quick and easy way if I were going to do it at all. Because I just don't really have the stomach to do it, you know, any more violent than that. I just don't think I could. And I think, you know, I don't know what the hardest part would be. Now, if you did it in a city, I mean, it depends on what city that you're in, but you could probably do it right out on the street. You know, if you go and you watch videos of like San Francisco or, you know, Chicago, even New York, you could probably go there and no one would even notice. But, you know, I don't think disposing of a body would be all that difficult if you live in a place like, you know, in a mountainous region, or even if you're out in the desert, or, you know, you've got, you know, New Mexico and Arizona and Utah, those kind of states. Densely populated states as well. Montana could be one. Maybe sleeping would be the hardest part, but it just depends. You know, it could be a worry of your mind. So maybe you sleep better if that person that's out to get you can't get you anymore. So, I mean, it would make you feel better in that regard, I would imagine. Correct? Let's listen to the last little OJ clip here before we move on.
Details about the crime scene, which he says are hypothetical.
You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes. It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood.
Then you see bloody footprints and you decide to take off.
Yes. Actually, I believe Charlie kept saying, we got to get out of here.
And in the book, you describe taking off your shoes, your pants, and your shirt and dropping it in a bundle. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember what happened?
Because what are you going to do with it? You know, somebody's got to get rid of, as you may have called during the trial, is that wear the bloody clothes. So somebody had to get rid of the bloody clothes.
Right. And you had left your keys and wallet in your pants pocket, and you had to go back and get it?
You know, to be honest, I think, I know that to be true, yes. Yes.
And Charlie is hysterical, screaming, Jesus Christ, OJ, Jesus Christ. And you tell him to shut up.
Yeah, he's in a panic. He was in a panic, and I'm telling him to shut up. Let's get out of here.
So you get back in the car, you take in your clothes, put them in the bundle.
And drove back and parked a block away because I knew the limo would be there, and came across the backyard through the 2 tennis courts and, you know, came through the house.
So you went through the neighbors?
Neighbors, yeah. He had a tennis court, and I had a tennis court.
And you go into the house, and what happens in the house?
I ran upstairs to take a shower. I actually ran upstairs and took some of my bags and came back downstairs and put them out front.
So, you know, there's OJ pretty much hypothetically confessing to those murders. And I just find that very odd that the setting is, why would you even agree to do such a thing? Do you really think that's going to try to rehabilitate your reputation? Because he lost the civil case. You can win the criminal case but lose the civil case. And he did. And he never really fully paid off Fred Goldman, Ron Goldman's father and mother. So yeah, those are some interesting things that's been going on. I know a couple weeks back we discussed P. Diddy, and there's not been any major breakthroughs or changes on that front. So I'm, a little bit disappointed, to be honest with you, because I wanted to see what was going to happen next. I really wanted to see that. Let's see what we have. Let's see what we have here. We are going to do a few little... I think we're going to do a few little tongue twisters. Because tongue twisters are a good way to break the ice. They're a good way to get to know one another. And I think it's just fun. I really do. So it's going to be more difficult because, once again, I did bring enough water. I brought a 33.8 ounces of water tonight, and I've drank every last bit of it with a few minutes left of the show. So I've got 4 different tongue twisters, and I want to start one that you all have heard, I'm sure. So, tongue twisters. I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. No need to light a nightlight on a light night like tonight. Fresh French fried fly fritters. Fresh French fried fly fritters. I saw a saw that could outsaw any other saw I ever saw. Let's try that again. I saw a saw that I could outsaw any other saw I ever saw. Super duper stormtroopers whoop it up at Death Star groupers. But these are actually the first time I'm reading some of these. Super duper stormtroopers whoop it up at Death Star groupers. No need to light a nightlight on a light night like tonight. And these are the tongue twisters. Oh, so silly. That was a nice little tongue twister on the Other People radio show. We had Jeremiah in studio last week. Him and his girlfriend were in visiting, checking out the show. Hopefully he'll get the feeling better. He was going to join tonight. Like I've been promising for a while, slowly but surely, we're going to be getting some people in. And May is right around the corner. I had a good little weekend last weekend. We did the show on Friday. And then the very next day, hanging out with Tom Green again. And that's always... This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more than I did. But it's not true because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Tom Green Show. The Tom Green Show. The Tom So yeah, it's the Tom Green show, but this is not the Tom Green show. So, it was kind of reflective a little bit. The other night, he was doing a stand-up set in Lexington, and I was privileged enough to get to see him again. And it was probably I've seen him 3 other times, met him 4 other times. And that was probably the best that I'd seen of his stand-up. The audience was really receptive. And he had some of that trademark humor. But he also had some, introspective things to say and do as well on stage. And, the pictures that I've collected, I've, met a couple of, celebrities and actors and actresses and musicians and such over the years. And Tom Green was one that, and I'll just go into it, just briefly, but was one that from 1999, the same year as the House on Haunted Hill, was someone that I really kind of gravitated toward, being on like the fringes of comedy, kind of taking the idea of what could make someone laugh or what's entertaining, and kind of flipping it on its head. And it kind of blurred the lines between what's real and what's not real. And that's what I always really did enjoy about a lot of his humor. Not really the gross out antics that he was mainly known for. Spray painting his mother and father's car, the moose, and a lot of the gross antics that he achieved. But that's not where the brilliance lied within. There was a lot of innovative things like Joe Rogan's show now, the Joe Rogan Experience. Joe Rogan will even tell you that it is, he was inspired by when Tom Green was doing his show. Not doing his show that I just played to you. Now, Tom Green was doing a show called Tom Green Live or Tom Green's House Tonight from his living room in the 2000s. He, early 2000, doing his show, doing his movies. 2003, the new Tom Green show comes around at MTV. It's a nightly show, and it only lasts a couple of months because the production budget is so expensive, and it's more of your traditional show, and he wasn't doing the man on the street gags that he was beforehand. So that was canceled. Tom writes his book, Hollywood Causes Cancer. I swoop in and get the book. Email him because I'm going through a dark time. And I'm glossing over a lot. I'm going through a dark time. He responds to my email. Pretty much he says, basically, thank you for the kind words. Keep striving, sir. And if you work hard, your dreams and goals will be accomplished. And I still think that and believe that even to this very day. So a little bit after that, his Hollywood work kind of dried up, so to speak. So he wanted to get back into doing the show. So he built a studio, and this was in 2005, 2006. So he built a studio, a television studio, in his living room to broadcast on the World Wide Web, which he coined the phrase Webovision, which was kind of a cool phrase. So each Thursday, he would go on live at midnight, California time, which so happened to be, or midnight East Coast time, 9 o'clock California time, which allowed me to watch, because I worked at a radio station at that point, overnight shift. So I was able to, watch live this show on the internet, because it was one of the first live shows on the internet, which is not that big of a thing now, but at the time, which is really, if you think about it, wow, 17 years back. So that much has happened. And he was one of the reasons that we started up Mutants TV on the Midnight Mutants radio show. And a lot of the things that we did technology-wise was due to Tom Green. But looking back over those pictures, I'd seen, the first one of him and I were, 2010. I've got one 2011, 2015, and then 2024. And you can tell the age of him more than myself. And that made me think back not only of the point I was in my life when I've met him before, the points in his life where he could have been, and how there was this unfulfilled promise in my life that still hasn't been fulfilled. But the fact that I was still able to see Tom Green again, and that he, even though he's moved back to Canada, not far from his parents, he's still chugging along, gives me hope that I can still continue to chug along as well. And I plan to. And I'm hopefully entertaining you all in the process of doing that. Like I said, there are going to be some new additions to the show. Tongue Twister, I like that. I like the music of that. I think you all are going to enjoy that, especially when we get some other people inside the studio wanting to do some tongue twisters. I saw a saw that could outsaw any other saw I ever saw. Fresh French fried flies matter. Fresh French fried flies fritters. Yes. Oh, there's the song. Thank you all for joining me tonight and for tuning in to another edition of the Other People's Show. I hope that you all have a good weekend, a blessed weekend. Like I always say, please go to our social media pages. They're free. So please go like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, The Other People's Show. That's all I ask. And thank you for tuning in on 92.5 WLSD The Vault, WLSDradio.com. I'm Adam. Thank you all for listening. Have a good night.